Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to Best Darn Everything, our sub-show to our cartoon podcast that we do every other week if we feel like it, where we take a subject other than The Simpsons. I can't talk about anything today. It's fine. A subject other than The Simpsons. And break that down. Today, we are going to be rolling our D20s for yardage because we are getting into fantasy football. And we've got a great panel to join us today. But first, joining me, as always, your co-host with the most, Richie the Whiz Kid. How you doing today, Rich?
I am not 100% sure how to take that because you're like, we've got a great panel today, but first. And I would think it should be and first because when we say but first, it's like he's not so great. So here we go. So
no, I'm saying you should be doing this turned around right now.
But first, gotcha. Totally makes sense. Yeah. But yeah, this is gonna be interesting. I'm in particular, I'm interested to hear what you have to say on a lot of this, Miles, because you're kind of new in this realm a bit. So I guess we better go ahead and throw it back to you so we can get going here. He's the man, the myth, the multiverse of badness himself. It is Miles.
I do legit love my team name, I won't lie. But you're right. If this were a Rocky Horror Picture Show showing or screening or whatever, I would have a big red V on my forehead because this is, in fact, my very first time playing fantasy football. But that is not the case for our guest today. These two are people, friends of mine that I've had conversations independently with, both on the subject of fantasy football, some in great detail. And I'm so excited to hear both of their opinions today. First time to the show, welcome, Steve Clifford. How are you, bud?
Miles, my Ninja Turtle brother from a Hawaiian mother. How you doing?
Good, man. Glad to have you. We've talked about having you on the show for a while, and I'm really glad you're able to join us today.
Let's do this.
Right on. And returning, last time he was here, we were on a completely different nerd spectrum, but still on the spectrum. We had him back for our Mega Man show. Welcome back, Ryan. How are you today, bud?
It's past my bedtime, but I'm hanging in there.
Dude, you're a trooper, man. I really appreciate you jumping on. You have like a real person job with real person hours and have like a real morning ahead of you. So the fact that you're here late with us means a lot. Glad to have you back. And happy, I guess, second day of fantasy football season. Happy week 1, everyone. We can go ahead and start by saying how we're doing so far. My current projections to win is 1%. And I would need both my opponent's quarterback and their flex wideout to have pretty negative scores on the Monday night game for me to be able to pull that off. Steve, how are you looking for week 1?
Well, I have two teams. One team I won already. I'm already at 100%, 144 to 117. So that one's already over. And then the other one I've already lost. So on both my teams, nobody plays on Monday. So I already know my destiny, I guess.
Now, Ryan, I know this one might take a minute because we talked last night and you've got a few of these. How are your prospects looking for this first week of battle?
I really have no clue.
I did tell you did.
How many teams do you have?
It's 4.
Football, yeah.
4 teams. He is definitely. He actually has the same total as Steve, Richie, and I. So, it's like one of those Mario Party matches where it'll be this triangle versus Ryan for points.
Is there a league that you hold? Like, let's throw all your leagues, out there right now, so you can badmouth 3 of them. Is there one that like you want to win more than the others, or is there one that's like you're actually playing for money, so you take more priority on that one?
Oh yeah, that's our money league that I've been in since 2006. We've got a trophy. We've got the names of all the winners, and I'm not on there after 15 fucking years.
So you were actually like just cosplaying a character from the league with your entire life, it sounds like.
Dude, I'm Kevin. I really am the commissioner. Every year, like, I play the clip when he loses from a field goal and he goes out, starts screaming, and he tells his kid there's no Santa Claus or God. That's me every week.
I literally just watched that. I've been rewatching that show. And I like literally just finished that season. I want to say that was like the second season finale, perhaps. But man, yeah, good stuff. And Richie, I know we talked about it, but how are you looking? I think you're actually the most middle of the road out of everybody, if I heard correctly.
I actually have a 99% shot to win right now. I'm up
We're dead opposites.
I'm on a.
Wait, am I playing you? Is that what's happening?
Maybe,
you in my other league?
Yeah, I ended up having a pretty good day, even though I made a couple bad selections on who to start today. Well, just one bad selection on who to start today, but I'm doing just fine.
Guys, so this is such a broad topic. I am an absolute virgin. We're going through a lot of just unfamiliar territory for me tonight, but I just kind of want to like generally talk about your guys' history playing fantasy football, maybe what got you interested in it the first time, and also like what your like favorite specifically like the app or like what software, whatever you actually prefer, like what's your preferred method of fantasy footballing. Ryan, I think you might have the most experience out of everybody. So if you can go back all the way to your young Kevin boyhood days of dreaming about fantasy football, what made you get into it for the first time?
I was working in a restaurant and I was like 19 and some coworkers were like, hey, do you want to do a fantasy football league? I said, sure. Why the fuck not? Got second place. Had a lot of fun. The commissioner sucked though. So I just took over and have been playing ever since and just jump into random leagues. But yeah, it made me, I think, understand and appreciate the sport a little bit more, paid more attention to games.
Were you already a football fan prior to playing fantasy?
I would watch Cowboys games, but it was just like, are they going to win or are they going to lose? That was really all I cared about. No stats, nothing. So yeah, this made every game worth watching, especially if I had a player in there.
Yeah, like even if it's like just one player, you feel like invested. Just every time they get on the field, you get excited. And I don't know now I'm sure it's different from 15 years ago, but like the app is even like lighting up whenever like somebody's on the field or in the red zone or whatever, which is essentially the same brainwashing mechanics as a slot machine. I'm just gonna say, but that's maybe for later in the conversation. Steve, what about you, brother? When did you start playing fantasy, and what like made you first get into it?
I'll say probably about 10 years ago, and I had some guys I went to high school where we all got into one together, like threw $10 in, and I enjoyed it mostly because I knew about football more than most of them. They were just trying to do it just to have fun, and I like Ryan was saying there. I was all I watched was Cowboys games. So before then, it just makes every game interesting, especially when you can trash talk your friend through text messages and through the messages or on the app or whatever. So I would say I'm probably like not a virgin or a rookie. I'm not like I won last year, but other than that, I usually finish like second to last or in the middle there. So I'm still trying to figure it all out too. I think the thing I like the most about it is I'm a numbers guy, so just it hurts whenever you have somebody that's on the bench that plays tight end for a team and
son of a bitch.
Anyways,
all right. So I learned a valuable week one lesson. Apparently, just never put Gronk on your bench, no matter what the experts or the projections say. Just if Tom Brady is in the pocket, Gronk should be in your tight end slot. But thank you for that, Steve.
Yeah, Pitt's fucked you and me, Miles.
Did you have Pitt as well?
In the money league, the one I care about. And I was like, well,
nothing.
shit.
He did nothing. I did more than him today.
Matt Ryan did nothing.
I personally have more fantasy points than Pitt has. But I was on my bench, so here we go. So Richie, last but not least, my friend, I know you've been playing much longer than me. I don't know as long as these guys, but you've been a Cowboys fan like your whole life. I know that, but and a Broncos fan, of course. But when did you actually take the plunge into the fantasy world?
I don't remember what year it was, but it was our mutual friend Tyler, because he was running a league and they had an open spot and he let me take over a team. And I did that for about 4 or 5 years and then took a break for about the past 3 years, with the exception of the one league we played with Patty Cakes. I think that was 2 seasons ago, where we really
It
weren't paying
fell
attention.
apart though. Like it
Dude,
happened, right?
I finished second place, and if I would have been paying attention, there was a running back that came back that was on my bench, and I lost by a couple points. I would have won without paying attention. But in the ones that like where we're actually trying, no offense, Patty Cakes, that sounds like I'm undermining his championship, which I totally am. But I finished third in the money league, and then I finished second in that one with Patty Cakes. So like I'm in a new league this year with coworkers that we literally like a week ago on a Thursday night, we're like, hey, we're going to start a league. We got to do the draft this weekend. So we're playing for a whole lot of money on this one. So like, you got to care. And, you know, kind of like what Ryan said, man, it's the beautiful thing about fantasy is if the Cowboys lose like they lost this week, you still care about football. There's still incentive to watch. And especially with stuff like Red Zone, where it's like, I don't want to see my opponent's team show up on the TV screen because that means that guy probably did something really good. But you get so excited when you see your team pop up on the screen with your player, and like it's just it gets addicting. And I honestly feel like Miles, you're going to be able to talk about that as well, because Miles has not been a football fan in a very, very long time, and all the texts and all the phone calls we've shared just since before his draft, like I can tell he's getting into it. You become a stat whore when you play fantasy, and like Steve, I'm like you. I'm a numbers guy. I like seeing those numbers, and it makes my brain churn, and I get way too like in my head about it. Who do I start? Who do I sit? Matt Ryan really fucked me over today because I benched Joe Burrow for Matt Ryan, thinking Philly would be garbage, and I was so wrong. But won't hurt me this week.
At least you kept Gronking, though. At least you kept Gronking.
I did start Gronk.
You're not wrong. I was actually going to directly address what Ryan had said 100% because, you pointed out I have not really been a football fan in a while. Honestly, I just got so burned out by like the commercialism of it all, and just like the fact that you're right. It's like, all right, somebody won or somebody lost, and it's like I don't really care. And I was a Cardinals fan, and like when that Super Bowl happened, like it just kind of was just kind of like okay. I don't
James Harrison fumbled that ball at halftime on the one. I don't care what anybody says. I was watching that game with you. The Steelers should not.
That's how I felt. That's sure how I felt about the situation. Taken care of that. What was that, 2009, I think? But anyway, Thursday night, I'll tell you my experience. Thursday night's the first game of the season. Even going before that, we were having fun with Richie. He's helped me with my draft and all sorts of stuff, which I thought was really funny. Richie's like helping me with my draft, and he had just told me, he's like, yeah, I'm not playing this year. But then I think like the conversations about it just kind of sparked that like, no, I do want to play. And they got it going, which I'm so glad they did. But Richie helped me a lot with like my draft, and we were talking a lot about the how it works and whatnot. And Thursday night, I was actually at an open mic at Backdoor Comedy, which is the same comedy club that was featured on the last episode of Hard Knocks. If you keep up with that on HBO following the Cowboys preseason camp, but usually at an open mic, I'm thinking about like jokes or like what I want to say, or, you know, thinking about just what jokes I want to tell, or maybe telling new jokes, whatever. I'm thinking about comedy. Thursday, I was a bad comedian because I spent the entire time in the bar just staring at the TV. And like anytime one of my players is on, I've got my phone in one hand and I've got the screen on, and I'm just like following stats. I'm like, pass this guy. And fucking Godwin was on Tampa Bay, and my opponent had him, and I had like Mike Davis, I think it was. Mike Evans, thank you. Yeah. And he got like nothing. And then Gronk just scored all the points from my bench. And even though it hurt and I knew I was losing badly, I was still having a lot of fun with it. And already I've been like peeking ahead at like players and stuff that I'm excited to pick up in the future. And that set actually went pretty well. So all's well that ends well. I got lucky on that one.
Hey Miles, in my league with my friends, whenever somebody goes off like that, like you don't know exactly like all your friends' teams, like especially when you first start. But whenever somebody goes off like that, that's the first thing I do is I search and like, ooh, who has Gronk? Ooh, I hope they oh, they didn't start him. No.
So I'm sure I made a lot of people very, very. There's probably 9 other humans right now that are full of joy because of my stupidity.
Yeah, and what's crazy is whenever you're playing something like that, and they're like, "Oh, they didn't start Gronk." Yeah, and that's even worse when someone. But what happens though is like it'll happen again. That won't be the first time.
Nope.
It won't be the first time. The first 3 or 4 weeks, it always happens that way. And then what sucks is then you'll start that player the next week, and then you're so excited about that, and then they'll do nothing, and you're like, what? And then
Yeah,
you get thing in your head. Do I stay with them? It's a battle.
It's
Richie
a
warned
ballet.
me a lot that it's something that like I'm just gonna have to deal with the fact that it's a crapshoot. That's why I kind of made that dice roll joke about the D20. I meant to come back around on that though intentionally, because in a lot of ways it does feel like the fantasy and fantasy football really is basically a dice roll with a lot of the choices that you're forced to make.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And as the season goes along, it gets even harder on that, because like people start getting hurt, and then like you'll log on, you'll pick your phone up, and you'll like go on the thing there, and like 16 people made moves. You're like, oh my god, I didn't do nothing. I'm getting lazy this week. So yeah.
Let me ask you guys, do you believe like I go through phases where like I'm not going to look at my phone for the fantasy score for like an hour because I think it's bad luck, or like I'll pull it up like every 5 seconds. How do you guys feel about that? Like, do you want to watch the scoreboard on the fantasy part, or do you just want to watch like Red Zone and just see where they're at like when the quarter's over with?
As a noob, I'll just say my score is already like burned into the screen on my phone from how much I used it today. My phone's off right now. This is just how the screen looks now.
Miles is cooking dinner, looking at us.
I just use the end of the ladle to refresh the page. This looks like I'm doing something else, to be honest. But
wrong episode.
Yeah.
And I used to we did Yahoo, and the computer would like update your scores in real time. So like all of us in the house were playing fantasy. So 5 of us would have our laptops open just watching it. Now it's like, yeah, I'll check it after Monday night and see if I won or not.
Yeah.
Hey, Miles,
well, hence like you saying, I don't really know how I'm doing today. Like when we first talked to you, you're like the aged vet where you're just like you're the Fonz, bro. You're leaning back, just waiting for your moment.
I remember on Xbox, I think it might have been Xbox One that I had for a little while there. You could actually download a Yahoo Fantasy app on there, and when you could be playing your game, not even watching the games or nothing, you could be playing video games, and every time your team would do something, it would pop up on there. So
that's cool. I didn't know that.
What's everyone's favorite app to use for fantasy?
I have I can't really weigh in on this one, guys. You're gonna have to take it.
I guess
I like Yahoo the best. I've used ESPN. ESPN is good. To me, Yahoo, I think it's like fantasy. It helps us dummies for sure, Miles. You're going to get a lot of help from Yahoo. I mean, you can look on there. It'll even say, hey, why are you starting this guy over this guy? I'm telling you not to do this. So Yahoo, to me, is the most helpful for like if you're a beginner, if you're starting. Also, like it's just to me, it's easier friendly, and I don't know. I'm a Yahoo guy. I guess I've always liked Yahoo.
Ryan, I see you nodding. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with it. I'm in a league in ESPN, and one thing they do have is they have more like customizable options. I'm in a league where we actually have punters as players.
Wow!
And I was going to try and add them. I was going to try and add them into our Yahoo league, and that's not even an option. I was like, really, Yahoo?
So what app allows? Is it ESPN that allows you to add the punters? Is that what it was? Yeah. Are those like the only two options? Is there another option?
I think eventually ESPN is going to add offensive linemen somehow. You'll have a 26-man roster eventually, but like the punters, you get points if they get it inside the 10. That's a ton of points. Inside the 20 is some points, and then however many yards like the punt is. But like if they run it all the way back and it's a return, then you're going to start losing points.
Yeah. Wow. Well, hey, at least if they start doing points for the linemen, the Cowboys will get a real high score. Dude got busted for weed. Okay, that was a bad joke. Moving on.
Well, it's also a bad joke because all the Cowboys' offensive linemen get hurt, so it wouldn't matter anyways.
Fair. Yeah. I saw an article today that was like titled something like only the Cowboys could turn a positive loss into like something so devastating in a matter of hours or something like that.
Always, man.
Everyone always talk about the Cowboys.
You brought up the app, so it's basically ESPN versus Yahoo. Richie, I saw you making the opposite.
I'm not. Neither one of them. They're both crappy.
Well then I just asked. Is there like another option? What is it?
Yeah, NFL.com, baby. I like the way it is. I like the way. You know why ESPN sucks? I'll tell you right now. Because when you go in to edit your team name, it doesn't let you just put in like a certain number of characters for your team name. you have to have a location and a nickname. So if I like, it's like Dallas Cowboys, but you only get like so many characters in each one. So when it'll only show up on certain screens as your nickname. So like if I was going to use the team name, I like big punts and I cannot lie, until I drafted my first player. I literally had to cut it in half and put all the words together. And I had to use one as the location and one as the nickname. And it's such a trivial thing, I know, but it irritated the crap out of me. And a lot of people in our league have that same feel. And with NFL.com, I love the article they do each week called Stardom Situm, where they like project like, these people aren't your average names. You should start these people because they'll be good against these teams for these reasons. And it'll do the same thing on why you should sit players. And like, I'm still going to NFL.com to find those articles. Like I did it this week. I'll do it every week this year. That was the one I used in my old league. So I'm just used to using it. Yahoo didn't really do a whole lot for me. I didn't really like it. And ESPN, that nickname thing irritates the crap out of me. And I don't know.
It seems like such a petty guy. I'm with you because it took me a while to figure out how to get my name to look right. But like, no, that's such like
when you log into ESPN, you have to click my team, and then like it's so hard to navigate the app and find what you're looking for. NFL.com, I log in, and everything I need is at the top where I just click on it and go. So unless they've changed it in the last 3 years, I just feel like it's a little bit too much, and they need to scale it back a little bit.
So did you change your team name to Mike Punt?
No, I actually drafted Nick Chubb in the first round, so I am the Chubb Chasers.
Nice. I like that. Kind of staying on the same theme. Instead of the app, though, Ryan, it sounds like you have some wild variations on the scoring and whatnot. But what are your favorite things when it comes to like how many people is the perfect number to be in a league, and what are like your preferred rules? Because I know that like when my league was getting started, there was a big debate about PPR, which I was just kind of barely understanding at the time. We went with full for what it's worth, full PPR. Ryan, that made him wince, so I have a feeling like he has opinions on this. But yeah, let's talk about what are the ideal settings for, in your opinion, for a fantasy football league.
I think a 12-team league is probably like the best number because 10 is good, but the teams can get a little stacked. There's still a lot of people left on the waiver wire. In the league, like if you have an 8-person league, that's a fucking joke. And I've done a 14-person league, and that everything just gets stretched so thin. So I found like 12 is the magic number. I'm just not a fan of PPR. It's just like, why are we giving a point to a guy for doing his fucking job? I mean,
he needs to earn it.
Yeah.
Man.
So in my money league, we voted on it and we switched to PPR, but it's only half a point because we do fractions. So it's not when you've got like a game where Jason Witten catches 16 fucking balls for 50 yards.
I gotta say, this is my first year like in a full PPR league. And my old money league, it was a 10-person team and it wasn't PPR. And already this week, after 1 week, I'm like, I feel like the running back position is almost useless. Like if you don't have a pass catching running back, like it almost like I'm basically going to start a wide receiver at flex every fucking week after this week. Now that I know how it's going to work, once I get Michael Thomas back, I'm going to be starting freaking Keenan Allen, Michael Thomas, and DeAndre Hopkins, and not even thinking twice. Yeah. But I feel like it takes a lot of the strategy and fun out of it. But this is my first 12-team league, and I'm really proud of the team I drafted. So I'm kind of starting to go on Ryan's side. I used to love 10-person league, but now with a 12-person, I feel like there's a little more nuance and insight where you got to figure stuff out a little bit more, and that it's very interesting and kind of fun.
That 10-person league, you're like, man, my team is fucking awesome. 12, it's like, okay, I've got some good guys. Or like year in, year out, it's like, oh man, I'm so fucked.
Let me ask you, Ryan, like we had a rule in our own league where like, obviously if somebody fumbles the ball, you lose points for that if you have that player starting. I had a league where I had somebody's defense that was special teams. Somebody caught the punt and fumbled it, and I had Antonio Brown starting. And Antonio Brown was the one that fumbled and lost it. So I lost 2 points for Antonio Brown, but I was arguing that the defense and the special teams are the ones that should be losing the points for it. Do you guys get like that? Like we had to go in and change the rules basically because of that, because I ended up losing by half a point that week. So that's why I was arguing that, because that literally cost me my victory. Do you guys get like that nuanced and specific about stuff?
Yeah, we did early on because like I can see both sides. Like that screwed you over, but if he had like run it back for a touchdown, and if you didn't get the points for that, it would be like, well, it went to special teams. It'd been like, well, shit, it should have gone to me.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
I have lost a game and been mad, gone to bed mad. Dang, I lost by 1 point, and then woke up, and then they did like a rule change overnight, or changed like a yard, or like
yeah.
Get my phone. Yeah, I did win.
How does that work? Why would they make a change like that? Like, what would happen that would make something like that?
Well, like say you're like in a close game, and you're like, it's like sometimes it comes down to like I've lost by like decimal points.
Yeah,
like 110.67 to 110.63, like 2 catches, and if one was like they didn't call it a catch, or they said and then they changed the rule in the middle of the night. Like it's kind of like they when they review the game and they were decided, okay, that was a first down, or that was a catch, or that was a
interesting. Okay.
Sometimes it happens on defense, or that wasn't that, and then you wake up, you go to bed thinking you lost, and then you wake up and Yahoo or change the official, and then you end up winning.
Yeah, like the defense they credit it as a sack right then, but they look at it and they're like, no, it was a running back, so it was a tackle for loss. They take that point away, and you've lost.
Now, does that go, no matter what, does that go with like the actual NFL call of that? Like, so the NFL would be the person that decided, or the body that decided that sack wasn't really a sack, and they would actually change it on the stat sheet? Is that how that works? Okay, that makes sense. And I'm thinking like that.
We said yes for those that don't have.
Yeah, everyone just nodded. You broke the first rule of podcasting, but yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. Just that they would follow the stats retroactively. But I like when you first pitched that, I'm thinking like, wow, the league is just like, no, the NFL got that one wrong.
Go ahead, Steve. Sorry.
There's still players that still haunt me from like losing in a championship game. Like Bernard they used to play for the Bengals. I was at a friend's house at a championship game, and he had him, and I had like a kicker or something, and he won like in the very. I still don't like that guy, man.
Do you develop like grudges or like personal vendettas?
Yes.
Again, everybody started nodding in unison aggressively. Just like I feel like the whooshing sound of everybody's like nod is going to be picked up on that one.
Especially in the money league, and you get all this money, and you're about to win some money, and you think you're going to spend it, and then something like that happens on the very last game, the very last moment. Yeah, you do hold grudges against players because of that. And there's another dynamic that sucks is what it's happened where like I've lost a playoff game, and it's playing the Cowboys, so it's like you're watching your TV like, yeah, no, don't. I want you to score that touchdown. I want Zeke to score 2 touchdowns and not rush for any yards.
Yeah.
Fair.
It's interesting because like it carries over for seasons too, because like there was one year I had Stephon Diggs and Devontae Adams when they weren't like as high as they are now. And like, I feel like I found Stephon Diggs because I got him in the waiver wire in like week 4, like 8 years ago.
You personally discovered him. He's the
reason.
You're the reason he's big now.
That's how I feel. No, I was just proud that I got him on the waiver wire and like knew he was going to be good before he was good. And like, I'm like, oh yeah, you're doing good. It's good to see that, man. And like Devontae Adams was playing against me this week, and I was like, man, you used to be my boy, and I really want you to do well, but fuck you, like don't do good. Like you get those feelings with those kind of players, and you got to remember it's new season, new team, and like the thing you have to tell yourself is to make sure you draft somebody even if you don't like them from a previous season, because that can be I really don't want to get Leonard Fournette if it was a few years ago because he fucked me last year, but like I hate you so much, but I kind of need you, so let's go. And sometimes it's funny that like you have to catch yourself thinking that way at times, because obviously you want to take the best player available when you're drafting, and it can really mess with your brain for a little bit.
Sure. You kind of dabbled into something there that I was going to talk about later, but since you touched on it, we'll go there now. Do you guys ever feel, do you have any examples or memories of a time that your emotions 100% got in the way of you making the right choice for your fantasy team? Like be it your fandom, or be it your feelings towards the player. Is there any time in your memory that you can think of where you're like, man, if I could have just got over the fact that like I love the Cowboys and gone with the obvious better choice, I would have won this year? Anything like that pop up?
Yeah, you don't draft any Eagles. You don't draft any Giants. You don't draft any Redskins.
That's 100% accurate.
What are you talking about? This guy.
I think I have the star Giants running back, Saquon Barkley.
Miles has Saquon, but
which actually I want to talk about that momentarily. Yeah, so I got my butt handed to me. All like again, I'm down by 20 points now with no players left, and my opponent still has a quarterback and a wideout to go. So like I'm fucked. But I made one really good call that I was really proud of because I had
the small victories.
It's a small victory, but I'm happy with myself. Saquon Barkley today, this morning,
the runner's name eventually. Don't worry.
Got cleared from the questionable or whatever. They removed the Q from his name, and they put out that like he was back, he was healthy. But they were like, but we don't expect him to be like, running his full load right off the bat. So even though like he was projected way higher than my backup, I ended up putting him on Saquon Barkley on my bench, and he ended up being my lowest scoring running back. So I was really proud of that move. It makes me feel like I have a small chance in hell at this game at some point in the future.
Who did you put in his place?
I put in Mike Davis from Atlanta, who did okay. Mike Davis got 10.2 points, and Saquon only got 3.7. So I definitely made that call correctly.
And that's all you can do. That's the cards you're dealt, and that's what we got to take away at the end of the day. You made the right call. You maximized your points. You got maybe a little unlucky today, and hopefully next week.
You got roasted in literally every column.
Yep. and that's fantasy football.
Yeah.
Forgot to start Gronk. Did we mention he
forgot to start Gronk?
Okay.
I have to get that in. To be fair, though, Gronk in the PPR league, if it's a full point, was 29 points. And if he's down 20 with 2 players left, he's probably going to lose regardless because he's got the quarterback on his opponent still to play. So it could just be that like his opponent just scores more points than the entire league this week.
Honestly, I think it's that Dallas-Tampa game. We both had players for Tampa, and his outscored every one of them except for Gronk, who, again, was on my bench. But I think that's where that dice roll thing comes into play.
Yeah,
I want to know what – go ahead, Ryan.
There's a chance that his opponent's running back runs into the quarterback and they both tear their ACLs and he wins.
Yes. Wait, no, because they have to actually do like pretty negative yardage before they get injured and out of the game first.
Fumble.
Well, if you had started Gronk, then that
yeah. If I started Gronk, I think I'd be up by like 3 points right now, so I'd have a chance.
I want to know from Steve and Ryan how they do like. If you guys don't know, we've kind of made it clear already. Steve and Ryan, and definitely myself, Richie, all Cowboys fans. Miles likes the farce of the Cowboys at least a little bit. He thinks Eli Manning is like a Citizen Echo Watch inside joke, but even though he's not playing anymore. But how are you guys?
Dude, his commentary is unstoppable, bro.
He doesn't. He comments.
I don't know. I thought I took a shot, Richie. God damn it.
No, he can't say a full sentence, so he's not going to be able to comment.
Steve's how right are you there, guys? Bro. Don't be like that.
Yeah, I'm right here, man.
How are you guys about drafting Cowboys players? Because honestly, I don't draft Cowboys players. If it's not Zeke or maybe Amari, like I don't draft Cowboys players. I feel like it's too close to home, and it kind of scares me because I know the Cowboys play to their competition's level. So if they're playing crappy teams most of the time because they finish crappy or in the middle, they're going to have crappy stats. Like it gets too much in my head when I try to draft Cowboys players outside of Zeke. So how are you guys about that?
And they carried me in my early days. Marion Barber when he was a touchdown vulture, Jason Witten, Romo, T.O. And then the past few years, the punter got a lot of points for me because they sucked so bad.
Yeah.
But now it's just like, man, I don't trust Dak's ankle, and you hear about his shoulder. Amari's always getting so. I'm just like, I've been trying to steer clear of him.
I think to me, it depends on what pick you get in the draft. Because if you're like second or third, but if you're like, you can't pick Dak early. You can't. You have to do a little bit with your brain more than
Zeke went first pick in my league overall, and we roasted that. We roasted that guy, but his almost entirely Dallas Cowboys lineup earned him a lot of points this week.
Yeah, there's always one person that drafts with their heart more than their brain. Yep. But I've also thought, man, I wish I played fantasy in the '80s and I could have Emmitt Smith as my running back. Michael Irvin is my receiver because, as far as Cowboys, pretty much Zeke. And then, like you were saying, Marion Barber was always a good one. But I try to stay away from it because it's like when you're watching, it's almost like you wouldn't watch your team and not worry about your fantasy team. So you're watching your own team.
You don't want to ruin the fantasy aspect or ruin the enjoyment of watching the Cowboys play. That's kind of where my head goes all the time, too. If the Cowboys lose, but I won it fantasy, I still am happy that week. But like
also, if I never pick the Dallas defense.
No. That goes without saying.
Not a good pick.
Yeah, like if you pick Dan Bailey back when he was good, it's like, man, I hope they don't score a touchdown so that he'll kick a field goal again.
That was the one Cowboy that I drafted. I had him, I think, 2 years in a row. And I was always like, you guys are winning by like 20. Just go ahead and stop and kick the field goal. Yeah, and that was usually a good bet.
It's just such a terrible mentality to have.
Yes. So I want to know, I said my team name already. I kind of hinted at Miles's. Ryan, I know you got 4 team names, but I want to hear you guys' team names. I want to know who everyone picked in the first round.
Let's see. All right, I've got most. I'll go in the money league. I'm Gattaca from just fucking Rafi screaming that in the league. Let's see. Another one, I'm in No Hope because there is no hope. It's a fucking joke-ass league. In my work league with a bunch of middle school teachers, I hate most of you. And it's accurate too. And then the last league I'm in, the last league I'm in, it's the RC Funk Blasters.
Wow, I honestly love Gattaca. Like it makes sense. Who did you pick in the first round?
For the money league, it was Nick Chubb.
Hey! What pick did you have?
I don't even remember.
Miles, you didn't pick him in the first round.
I was just literally trying to figure out who I did pick in the first round because I
Saquon Barkley.
Oh yeah, that guy.
We talked about it in depth.
Wait a minute, you picked Saquon, and then you benched him.
You cut out on me. What did you say?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
You picked him as your first pick, and then you didn't start him this week.
Yeah, when I picked him, he was questionable, but it was like a positive outcome that he would be back either week 1 or week 2. So I took him knowing that I might have to bench him in the first round, but he was still like one of the top tier choices. I got him, and then I got Nick Chubb in my second round choice.
I got 2 teams, and I guess I'm boring. Mine's just says Clifford. Clifford's team. I went lazy this year.
You could be the big red dog. I mean, come on.
Yeah, man, dude. Yeah. You had options, dude.
I used to be more creative and like change the logo. You can change your logo and do all that, and I don't know. I turned 40 and I got lazy. So,
Miles, for what it's worth, with the Chubb Chasers, my logo is Hans Moleman getting hit in the balls by a football.
That's beautiful, man. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that you could do custom logos, so now I'm going to have to see how I do that. That's interesting. I am the multiverse of badness, which I'm very fond of, but I had to put it into Richie's complaint. Multiverse is my location, and my team name is Of Badness.
So that means when other people see you, it just says Of Badness. Like
that's you said of fatness at first.
I assume they interpret that to my OnlyFans badness, so it's totally fine. You guys, we've kind of been circling around this too, and I definitely want to talk more on it. Draft strategy in general. First of all, I know there's different types. So I did what's called the snake, where it like alternates. If you like get the first pick in the first round, you get the last pick in the last round. I don't know what the alternatives to that are, so we can talk about if the snake is your guys' preferred way to draft or not. And then also, with that system, is the number 1 draft pick the best spot to be?
Oh, man, that's a good question. I like the snake, but sometimes the snake, if you get up there in the first one, you get the first pick, and then you get to wait a while, but then you got that third time around, you got to wait like 90. It feels like 97 picks. And you're like, man, is this first pick worth it? But if you're in the middle there, it's kind of neat because like if you're on a 12-team team and you get like the 10th pick, you're like, okay, cool. It sucks that I'm getting the 10th pick, but at least I'm getting the 10th pick, and then it's going to snake back, and I want to
get like 2 picks later or 4 picks later. Yeah,
and that's always kind of good too when you do that, especially if you're in the first round. If you want to get one of those combos, if you want to get like a quarterback and a receiver that they're on the same team, or a tight end like Brady and Gronk, and they're not starting, or if you want to get it's good. It's good.
I'm nodding right now, everybody, just in case you're not seeing this.
Nodding with that middle finger.
No, it's good. It's good to get a combo there, but I've done it the other way as well, where you just go straight through. So I don't really have a preference. I just sometimes when you log on there, 30, you log on before to see what pick you are, and when you get that first pick, it's sometimes it's a blessing and a curse because. When you get that first pick, for instance, I drafted Adrian Peterson one year in the first pick, and like the second play, he tore his ACL. And
Steve, I feel like you just did the answer equivalent. If that was an essay, you just rephrased the question. Like you didn't answer it; you just stated the conundrum that everybody said.
I thought I was on a job interview. This is a different call.
He was also asking about your draft strategy on that too. I want to know who you would have picked if you had the first pick this year.
If I had the first pick this year, oh man,
there's right there. That is the pressure of having the first pick. Is Steve's response right there?
It's so much weight, dude. What if that guy sucks? Like,
no, it's Christian McCaffrey for what it's worth. Like Kamara, I understand Kamara, but like it's Christian McCaffrey.
But Christian McCaffrey always gets hurt.
No, not when I draft him.
He always gets hurt, but I think I would probably pick him or Chubb, one of the two, if I had the first.
You would have picked Chubb, and but he's splitting time with Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt, pissed me off so bad today. Shut up, Brian.
That's what I felt.
The damn ball.
Yeah, I didn't get to see that because I walked out of the room when it happened. But they were already switching him off every series at that point. So
yeah, I mean he had 2 touchdowns though,
and almost 100 yards. So yeah, he did great for me today.
Yeah,
that's how I felt like every time they ran the Atlanta ran their fullback. I was just like, no, that's the wrong backfielder. Put it in the other guy's hands, you piece of shit.
You start looking at the app to see what number is on the back of the jersey of the guy you have on the team, and then you're like, 24, go!
Yeah, like we've always done the snake draft, and in the money league, like I've got to pull. I put the team names in a hat, and I have my wife pull them out, and then I call those people and ask them, "Where do you want to pick in the draft?"
That's a great idea.
And so they know like a month ahead of time where they're picking. Sometimes they'll trade spots. They'll make some shady backroom deals. But we do the
collusion.
We do the snake draft, and I think next year we're going to do it's called the modified snake draft, which we just like is starting to get trendy. But the first and second rounds go as normal, so it goes and it's snakes. But then in the third round, it goes back to the end, and then it starts snaking again. So it's kind of saying like if you're the first overall pick, you get 3 top 25 players. So in the third round, it kind of tries to fix that and makes it more even or fair.
In the third round, you start at the end and you snake back up to the front and back around for the fourth.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I think we're going to try that next year. Like, we kind of wanted to this year, but I'm like, I'm not calling y'all again and saying, hey, we're redoing this. I'm like, nah, fuck it. We're just sticking with this.
And every year, ever been in a real, like, gone to like a real like draft, like go to like a bar or a restaurant, and where people like have, it's not like the online one where they got like the real name.
To do that. That sounded cool.
It's a lot of fun, honestly.
Yeah, we went
drunk and eat wings.
Yep.
And make bad decisions in the fourth round.
The drunker you get, the looser your draft picks become.
Right.
I really feel good about this guy. He's got a good face.
Kicker.
Did he just pick a kicker on the second pick?
Yeah, the 7 of us we rented a cabin in Broken Bow, Oklahoma, and drafted from there.
Oh, that's nice. Cool.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. One of our buddies who was out in Quinlan, and he was on a video call, and he drafted the Las Vegas running back, Jefferson something. He took him with his first pick, like a 4th overall.
Oh.
Yeah, we're like, what the Drew, it's noon. How fucking drunk are you? Because he's drafted from a jet ski before.
That should be the team name.
Yeah,
right there.
honestly.
Drafted from a jet ski.
He did. He was number 2 pick. He was like, I'll take Christian McCaffrey. He was just picked. Ezekiel Elliott, and it completely fucked over my friend's strategy because he's like, Zeke won't go number 2.
That's how you get not invited back next year to the league, by the way.
Oh, he's our taco. We love him.
It's fantastic.
I want to say, to go along with, because you're talking about the different kinds of draft, the old money league I was in, we did the standard draft every year. So
is that just like if you're the 10th pick, you'll be the 10th pick in every round?
Yeah,
that's
and
that's
my
cool.
first year when I'd never played fantasy before, I was the 10th pick.
In a 10-man league?
Nobody talked to me. I didn't know running backs, wide receivers, and I picked Peyton Manning with my first pick in the 10th round. I'm sitting here going, man, all these receivers and running backs are going, but Peyton's in Denver, and they went to the Super Bowl last year. And for 11 weeks, Peyton Manning was one of the best players in the freaking league, and everyone mocked me for that. But I definitely finished, I think, 9th place out of 10 teams that year.
That's improvement.
So you learn stuff. But I honestly like the standard draft format, maybe because it's the one I'm most familiar with. But you get another player in 10 picks. And the snake, there's times where, like, if you're the first pick, you got a long freaking time to wait. So there's something to be said knowing that if I have a 10-person league and I'm the 10th pick, I need to have like 30 players in mind because I'll get 3 of those players. Like, I like breaking math down like that in my head. So I know I just have to have 30 people picked and I get 3 of those people. I was along where Steve said this year, where I was the 10th pick. And I literally, my thought process was, I want Nick Chubb to be available at the 10th pick. He's rated like one of the best running backs in my mind. And on ESPN, he was like the 12th overall player. And I said, if I get Nick Chubb, I will be happy with that pick at number 10. And I kept saying, this person's smart and this person's smart that's picking ahead of me. They'll probably take him, but I put a lot of eggs in the basket that he's going to be available. And I got really lucky and I picked him. And I had another pick, 5 picks after that, and got DeAndre Hopkins. And I was like, that's a victory. I got freaking Chubb and DeAndre Hopkins. I'll take that as a victory. But Miles, you asked about strategy.
Yeah.
I think most people in most leagues would say, running back first, unless, you're around the 10th pick. And then if all the running backs are gone, obviously you take one of the best wideouts. I like the wide receiver position a lot more than I like the running back position. I feel like I just have better luck picking good receivers. And especially after 1 week in this new league that I'm in, when it's a PPR league and there's there's a literal point per each reception, I feel like you have to value the wide receiver better. I told Miles, I think it's stupid to take 2 kickers. I really do. It's just, you take a kicker and then when you need another
Ryan's face right now, yo. It's better than my version of nodding or actual nodding for what it's worth. We're going to get a response in a second. Go ahead, Richie.
How many times has Ryan's team name been on the trophy? So let's just say that right there. So I feel like you can pick up a kicker for 1 week with your worst player getting dropped in a league that's like that. But I don't need to decide between 2 kickers. I feel like it's a waste. And sometimes I've tried that gambit in the past with defenses, and that one's bit me in the ass a few times when you have to pick up a terrible defense and like week 8.
You end up with like Dallas or some bullshit.
Exactly. Yeah. So every strategy is wrong, just to let you know, Miles.
There are no right answers. Dude, I was running into the problem. I was going into the problem, as you well know, Richie, you were with me. I kept having the issue where the person in front of me, 1 pick ahead of me in the draft, would pick the player that I had on my radar. And like sometimes I'm like down the list, like it's not like I'm taking the obvious next pick. We like scouted down a ways, and it'd be like, nope, I'm taking Russell in this round or whatever.
I told him to take Michael Thomas in like the 11th or 12th round, and he was like, "No, I'll get him on the rebound. I'm gonna take this guy first."
I had the 8-2 spot, so I get the first guy I wanted in the 10, and I thought I'd be able to pick him up in the 2, and he ended up going in the 1 on that next one. Brutal.
That sucks.
Ryan, go ahead and tell us how 2 kickers is a good idea.
Oh no, it's not a good idea. I'm like, who the fuck would do that?
I've never done that ever. If your kicker goes on the bottom, you just pick one up. It's a kicker. They're
basically the same is what I gathered. Yeah.
I mean, there's a couple that's better than all of the rest of them, but even they suck. It seems like all kickers suck now. They'll break your heart, dude. And they'll break your heart the other way too when you're playing somebody and their kicker goes off and you lose.
You're like, now a kicker scores? When this
like,
start? Yeah.
And I've even lost a game on a game-winning field goal.
Oh, that's terrible.
That sucks.
Ryan, you're a commissioner. Do you get extra points for 40 and 50-yard field goals, or are they 3 points across the board?
They are extra points for 40 and 50. So, like, if you've got a kicker and they nail 4 50-yard field goals, that's 20 points right there.
Do you do minus points if they missed the field goal?
I think we got rid of the extra. Like, they don't lose points in an actual game. But in that joke league I'm in, my brother-in-law runs. If a kicker misses a PAT, it's -5.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Dang.
So if I were playing with those rules, I'd have a chance on Monday. Ryan, I want to run back to that question about like the best place to draft in a snake. You said that the way you do it is you give the person the chance to choose where they want to draft. Where would you say ends up being the most common? Like if somebody gets the choice of where they want to draft first, where do you most commonly see people choosing in the lineup?
And it just depends on how I go down the list. Like I told the old guy on the jet ski, his name got drawn out of the hat first one year, and he's like, "I'll take the 12th pick." I'm like, "You'll do what?"
Interesting.
He is the taco.
He is a taco. 12's my lucky number, dude.
Yeah, he's like, "Man, I gotta try something different this year, man." And I remember because of that, the next guy, he's like, I'll take number 1. He ended up getting Saquon Barkley, who didn't do well that year, but he and I play each other in the championship, and that was when Saquon Barkley went off, and I got second place. I'm like, I got second because Drew's a fuck up.
You got tacoed out of the championship.
Yeah. So I would say, man, like whoever, usually 1, 2, and then maybe like 10, 11, and 12 will go because people like those back-to-back picks.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody really likes to be in the middle.
See, I was actually saying that I was hoping to be in the middle. That was my thought that would be a good place to be, like to get a good average, split, I guess, a good fair number of players. But I could definitely see that, again, it sounds like there's really not a wrong place. It sounds like you can pretty much win from any draft position. You think drafting is more or less important than playing like pickups throughout the season?
Man, it's gonna be pickups because like it's the NFL. People get hurt, people get cut, people go to jail.
They smoke too much weed.
Yeah, I mean,
no such thing.
They kill people.
Yeah, so you gotta. I mean, of course you got to draft good, but also the wire and then I don't know. I say that, and you'll see somebody in some of these leagues don't even check their stuff and win like 6 games in a row.
Yeah. Oh,
like really?
How many times is Drew's name on that trophy, Ryan?
None.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's because that didn't happen until like season 5, right, or something, or 3.
Funny enough, like we were going through, he's only gotten last place once.
Oh wow!
Damn.
Yeah. We think it's because he's usually 11th place. Somebody else just does slightly worse than him.
Have you guys ever gotten into the arguments about trades, like where someone people are like trading in your league, and you're like, wait, you can't. There's no way you can trade Tom Brady. You know, people are making stupid trades, and
someone's going to lose the season, so they trade away their best player to somebody for.
Yeah. And then,
well, that's why people are allowed to vote on it, right? Like, I haven't had that happen yet. I've had a trade offer, which I declined, but I haven't had the opportunity to like.
Which I think is always weird. Like I've got trade offers right after the draft. Like
you don't even know if your team's any good yet. Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
Miles got a trade offer. Yeah. After his draft.
Yeah.
Miles, I will trade you for Gronk right now if you'll.
I was going to tell you, Miles, it's not a bad idea to sell Gronk right now because his market's high. You could get a good return on him right now.
Interesting.
True.
But I mean, it's better traded than on my bench for sure.
The money league that I used to play in started implementing draft picks and trades so that like you could offer a player and like a 5th round pick in exchange for like a 10th round pick for 2 other players, basically, we actually did it a few times. It was very interesting.
Is that trades like happening during the draft? Is that what you mean?
No, that like, so if we're in the middle of a season and I want one of your players and you don't want to just do player for player, you're like, no, I need more compensation for that. Okay, in the draft next year, I'll give you my 5th round pick.
Oh, you're trading future draft pick. Okay,
yeah,
like an actual NFL league. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to mark it down because when the draft comes around, the computer, like NFL.com or ESPN.com is not going to keep track of that shit. At least I don't think ESPN or Yahoo.
So you have to have somewhat of an honor system.
Yahoo thing does. Yeah. But yeah, you have to keep track of that. But have you guys ever been in a league that had like a crazy rule or something to like add a twist to how you guys played?
I don't know. Pretty basic ones. We have had. Well, the only thing I can think of is we've had one where like, hey, if you don't check it for a couple of weeks, we're going to abandon you and get you somebody else in there, which usually happens in free leagues. So after a while, you'll start where you don't want to do free leagues anymore because like you ain't going to check it. But other than that, no, pretty much the standard stuff on mine. Ryan,
you're a commissioner. You ever implement anything different or a little crazy out there to like spruce things up?
Nah, we haven't done anything. We're pretty democratic. Like somebody will say, hey, we should do this. So I'll send out like a Google form and we'll figure it out. But in my brother-in-law's fucking circus league, he just, dude, it's insane. He gives points away. Like if your running back has a 20-yard run, you get an extra like 3 points. If he has a 40-yard run, it's an extra 6 points. Like, dude, he's already getting points.
Oh my gosh! If it's a 70-yard touchdown, that's like 13 points already.
It's like when you play NBA Jam with the hot spots on and the instant dunk from anywhere.
In this league, does everybody get a trophy?
No.
Like everybody gets the first place
everybody
trophy.
But Ryan
everybody gets a trophy in this league. Everybody gets a trophy in this league.
It's 10 people. He's got it in divisions. And I was never going to – I got kicked out of the league.
Mine's in divisions too.
Oh, wait. Hold on. We're getting to the bottom of it here, Miles. Why were you kicked out of the league?
Oh, this is great because I told them, like, guys, find somebody else. I don't want to be in this league anymore, but they didn't.
That sounds like you quit more than you got kicked out.
The story's not over with. Here's the twist.
They left me in. My team auto-drafted. I ended up winning the championship that year.
Wow.
Oh, and the playoffs, they were 2 weeks. Like, each matchup was 2 weeks. So
I've been in those. Those suck.
I was going into week 17. And I beat the other guy by over 150 points.
Oh my god!
And then like they didn't renew the league next year, or at least I don't think they did. And then this year he caught me at a moment of weakness. He's like, "Hey man, we need a 10th." I was like, why not?" And then I get in there, I look at the settings. I'm like, "Why did I do this?"
That's the patty cake league did that, Miles. The 2 week playoff things. I didn't pay attention after the first week because I thought the championship game's over. I lost, and then the second week happened, and I had a player on the bench.
Would have won if you would have not benched your.
I had the Rams running back that was really good for a few years. That's now a free agent or ended up on a.
You thought you won?
Do what?
You thought you won?
No, I thought I lost. So I was down by like 20 points, and then I didn't submit a lineup the next week, or I didn't look at my lineup, and I ended up losing by like 2 points, and it was I can't remember the freaking running back for the Rams that year. He's a free agent now, but like I would have won if I just put him back in.
Do you guys ever like during the week like check? Yeah, like he was saying, check like who you're playing and like, oh, they're not going to check theirs. They're not going to check theirs. They're not going to check theirs. And then you wake up Sunday morning, they're not going to check theirs. They didn't check theirs. All right.
Oh yeah,
and they still beat you. And you're like,
the ultimate revenge.
He didn't even check his, and I still lost. I should have even.
Todd Gurley. That's who it was. Todd Gurley. Oh, if I would have started him, the most obvious choice 5 years ago, 3 years ago, but.
Dude, okay, so I know it's not football, but it is fantasy sports related. I won a baseball championship because, and the only reason I won is because the Miami Marlins pitcher, Jose Fernandez, died in a boating accident.
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah. It was the last day of playoffs, the championship.
He didn't play for the Mariners, did he?
Miles.
Marlins.
Miles.
Yeah. But so
that's three. That's strike three.
But yeah, like he gets in that boat, he gets coked up and wrecks his boat and kills himself and a few other people. And so they postponed the game. And the guy I was playing with, funny enough, it was Drew. He had a pitcher going. Since it got postponed, I won by like 1 point.
Oh my God.
Wow.
So that's my baseball championship. And I
That's a killer
took
story
a
right there.
screenshot too. 'cause
You
I got
are Kevin, the McCastrix over here.
I got a notification from Yahoo because I had Jose Fernandez. I got a notification from Yahoo and it said Jose Fernandez's status is from healthy to day to day. I'm like, motherfuckers, he's dead. He's not day to day. He is fucking dead.
Zombie baseball. Hell yeah. I am so in on that. They throw the pitch, like the whole arm just goes swinging over the place.
That is crazy.
Yeah, I'm in on that game too. I would play that for sure.
The rule we toyed around with this year, and it was actually going into effect during the draft, and then they decided halfway through the draft to drop it, is everyone in our fantasy football league is a Cowboys fan with the exception of like one person. So we had the moniker going in because like half the people it's their first time playing and they're like, I don't want to go against the Cowboys. Like I want to still be able to enjoy that game. So we added that you could not, it was an extra bye week if your player was playing against the Cowboys, which I voted against. I voted against that. So basically, if you pick an NFC East person, they've got their normal bye week plus the 2 games with the Cowboys. So they'd actually have 3 bye weeks. But halfway through the draft, our commissioner got super drunk and he was like, I don't care. No, we're not doing that. But I thought that was too much because these guys have never played fantasy football before. And it's like, they're not even going to pick a good team. And I got to give them credit. In a 12-person league, a lot of people actually pick some really decent teams.
Fantasy baseball is way harder than fantasy.
Oh,
football.
yeah, absolutely.
I've heard that's like an entire commitment.
Yeah, you got to check it every day, and like in the middle of the day, and then all of a sudden your pitcher is going to start, and then he gets pulled, and then you got to like there's a lot, and then certain players only play on a Thursday.
You pick for a week
outside. You can pick for a week, but still a lot of stuff happens. It changes.
Plus, baseball runs like 15 months out of the year, so you literally never get a break. Like it just doesn't stop.
Yeah, it's a slog.
Guys, there's one more topic I had to talk about. We can talk about anything else if you have it that you want to mention. But the last thing that's on my mind, coming from being a non-fantasy player, there's a tradition that I was always familiar with, especially being a comedian. We see a lot of times towards the end of a fantasy football season, a unusually like very similar group of dudes will show up, be a little bit more drunk than our usual open mic crowds. And it always ends up that the loser of their fantasy league is usually forced to go and do an open mic as like a punishment for their friends or whatever. And it's always the worst. Everybody's terrible at it. It never goes well. And as comics, we hate it. Because since those people are buying drinks, they get priority over us. I want to talk about the punishments that you guys have seen. I know Richie has a pretty interesting one, so I actually want to save him for last. Steve, have you ever done a league where there is a punishment involved? Or if not, what's the wildest fantasy league punishment that you've ever seen or experienced?
Not any of my leagues. My leagues have been pretty lame, I guess, when it comes to that. But I have seen. Have you seen those shows where people like get tattoos? Like they have to have certain different tattoos, and then I've seen. I listen on sports radio where there's whoever loses in their league, they got to like put like a picture of a penis or something on the back of their truck. So
you're kind of foreshadowing a little bit to something Richie's going to talk about. I just want to point out for those that can't see, both when I brought up punishments, I don't know if it's related, but both Ryan and Richie like got up and darted somewhere excitedly. So I feel like they might have a show and tell coming up. But Steve, I sorry to cut you off, man. What about the wildest you've ever heard of or seen elsewhere?
Besides the tattoo, other than that, I don't know. I know on every year I catch on ESPN at the end of the year, they always have like these crazy leagues where they do crazy punishments, or it usually involves a tattoo for some reason. I don't know why.
Very fair.
So
I know on the
like Britney Spears tattoo or something that's not a written tattoo that you're gonna like.
Right, it's not something that you would choose to get on a regular circumstance. It's a punishment. The majority of the ones that I'm familiar with are from the show The League, so I feel like they're mostly a little bit over the top and pretty extreme. But it's always one of the funniest parts of the show, especially just poor Andre on that show. He's always just getting it so hard in every way. I love when they like make him learn to play the flute. Like that's such a stupid one, but it's just so funny.
I feel like that Ryan looks more like Andre than Kevin, for what it's worth.
That's fair. Ryan's nodding.
Ryan's nodding.
Ryan, are you ready to talk about fantasy football punishments over there?
Yeah, we don't have any punishments, but we do have a last place trophy that my buddy made when he was living in Montana. So I was able to find it, luckily. Let me flip the camera around.
Wait,
it's not
you
the dog.
You give away a dog? Oh my goodness!
Do you have it because you were last place this year?
No, I was going to bring it to Oklahoma, but Drew didn't show up because we thought he'd be on the jet ski again. Then he shows up on the video call fully clothed. But one of our friends, she's really into wood burning, so we figured out who got last place since we started. So she's going to go and like burn all their names into the wood.
Oh, that's cool.
That's cool.
Yeah. So it's
and just in case you can't see it, it looks like it's like a cutout of a tree, like a whole like section of a tree, I guess you'd say, like a flat disc. And it says "Suck it, 12th place," and there's an appropriate what is that, freshly baked chocolate?
It's a piece of shit.
I've seen that emoji before. I've seen that emoji before.
Yeah, definitely a very popular emoji. So Ryan, have you ever, just from being in leagues for a while now, have you ever seen another league or witnessed or heard rumor of any like just ridiculously wild punishments?
Yeah, the guy who's running the league at work, he's wanting to do punishments for us. I'm like, dude, you told us we were drafting at 5 Central. You scheduled it for 5 Pacific, so I don't fucking trust anything you're doing. Yeah,
is this your circus league you were talking about? No, this is the other one.
This is the other one that's the full PPR. But it's like, I'm not going to do any punishments. This is just for fun. It's punishment enough to lose $60 in the money league.
Yeah, that sounds right. Sorry, go ahead.
I saw the other one that was popular was that guy stayed at Waffle House for like,
oh yeah,
like all day. I'm like, that's not really a punishment.
That's a punishment to the staff of Waffle House for having to put up with his ass for 24 hours or whatever.
Yeah. That's also a punishment to that bathroom, by the way. But
it's an awful waffle.
Oh, Richie, I know you've got at least one good story. Do you have any others that you'd like to share?
Well, both of my stories involve the money league I used to be in. It's the standard punishment every year was you got the last place trophy. Like we had a winner's trophy with all the names inscribed. It was the CP is what we called it, the couch potato, and it's a picture of a guy on his couch with a clicker. But that was the winning trophy. The losing trophy it looked like a cheerleading trophy, which they're like you had to. But like our rules were you had to have the trophy on display like in the middle of your mantle or something like that, so that if anybody ever came over, they knew you lost at fantasy. Which I'm like, I don't know how that signifies losing at fantasy, but okay, fair enough.
Especially if that happened last year and nobody's seeing each other anyway.
Exactly.
So like, what a punishment.
Yeah, exactly. And we threw in a couple things that like we'd have to go out in public and do stuff, but I honestly don't think anyone ever came through with that. But something we started talking about 5 years ago, and like we were seriously thinking to put it like into law on a vote, was if you finish last place 2 years in a row, you had to get your team's name tattooed as a tramp stamp on your back. So like my team name back then was Smells Like Team Spirit. So like
actually that's probably arguably one of the better ones you could get if you had to.
Yeah. But like we had team names like the 69ers and stuff like that. And it's like if you lost 2 seasons in a row, we were basically putting it into law that you had to get your team name tramp stamped on yourself.
The poor person who had the team name The Whole Train.
Yeah, there you go. Which I threw that out there for the league that we started this year, that could be the punishment. Because they were like, dress up as the opposite sex and go out to dinner with everybody. And we're like, is that really a punishment? Like, you guys are going to be laughing and having a good time, and who's going to care? But I threw out the tattoo idea this year, but we haven't come up with the punishment this year yet.
The punishment is the following year you have to draft all Cowboys.
Oh.
That's rough, dude.
That is rough.
Y'all, some of the names on our league trophy, because I got to take it in, and it's this little old lady here in Denton that just runs her own little trophy shop. Dude, I'm looking on there, and it's like just been fisted. One I couldn't do. It was goddamn hippies. I'm like, I can't make her do that. I'm like, yeah, it's gosh darn hippies. Merkin, which is a pubic wig.
Yeah.
God, they were just.
And a Simpsons writer, for what it's worth.
Yeah, but think of that getting tattooed as a tramp stamp on you.
Yeah.
Oh, but yeah, and they're like, Ryan, you said just been fisted is okay. I'm like, yeah, I told her that's a slang for getting punched in the face. That's what the kids are saying these days. Yeah,
she's probably going around worried that her kids are getting fisted at school.
Wait, I thought everybody did.
Oh man, guys, this has been really fun. I like talking about stuff that's like new to me or just something that I'm not as familiar with. Sometimes it's it's really cool just to hear everybody's insight. And it's really great having both of you on the show. Steve, is there anything else in general about fantasy football that you want to talk about before we call it a night?
Yeah, don't drink when you're drafting.
I disagree with that.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm kind of the opposite on that one. Yeah.
And usually
boo this man.
No, I'm just kidding. I would just say just patience, because like if you start out 0-4, you can come back and win like 7 or 8 in a row. It happens. Don't give up because you start 0-4 and you're like, oh man, I should have never done this. This is boring. Just keep plugging away. And you didn't start Gronk. Did we talk about that already? Or
good advice for life and fantasy. If you get down, don't give up and always start Gronk. Got it. Ryan, what about you, sir? Anything that we did not cover tonight that you feel like we should talk about?
No, I mean, it's like Steve said. Like if you make the playoffs as an 8th seed, you've got just as much a chance of winning it as anybody else. It's just like hockey, like that.
Yeah, makes sense.
And
you just got to get to the dance, right? Like that's all that really matters.
That's all you have to do, because you might have these shitty players that are they're in the middle of the pack, and it's like, all right, we got to play our asses off these last 4 weeks to get into the playoffs, and they go off while these first place teams are kind of cruising because they've already got their spot locked up. So
they already got the mark saying they're in. Yeah,
yeah. As long as you're in it, you're in it.
That sounds like good advice. Right on, Richie. Last but not least, my friend, anything that we missed here today?
Oh, there's tons of stuff we missed. We could talk about this show for hours. We could do a weekly fantasy football podcast about like.
All right, I'm in. You're producing. Let me know when we're recording.
About putting players that play early on in the wide receiver spot to save your flex spot open for people that don't get hurt. That I've talked to Miles about and confused them about. But like,
that makes sense. It's a good strategy.
This stuff is fun to me. I like the mind game of it. I also absolutely hate the mind game of it because of how neurotic I am and how overthinking I am. But like, I think this is a lot of fun. I think you can be a non-football fan and get a lot of joy out of fantasy, especially if you play with friends when you can shit talk people all the time about it.
The best part.
I want to recommend that if you do group chats for fantasy, make sure that you tell everybody it's just for shit talking. Because like my old league, it was just for shit talking. My new league, people are like, my kid's sick, and they're like, oh well, I'm praying for you, and it's like,
I don't want to hear that.
Oh, I feel terrible because now
shouldn't God be busy like making sure his favorite team wins each week? That's how I'm told it works.
Right?
Yeah.
And you're like, by the way, did you see
kids
that on the wire that such and such got cut and and you're like, my daughter is like sick. Well, did you hear? Yeah, it's awkward.
It makes it very, very awkward. It's like, well, I can't talk shit now, even though I'm going to stomp this motherfucker.
Yeah,
so, like it doesn't matter. Much like, never mind.
your team's going down faster than your child is.
Oh! I wasn't going to go that route, but okay. But no.
It's fine, dude. It was probably older than 6 weeks, so it counts or whatever. I don't know.
Oh, it's getting worse the longer you talk.
His wide receiver is going to have as many points as he has white blood cells.
Oh. Well, that's as good a place as any to just not talk anymore.
Just radio silence from here on out. No, guys, this has been awesome. Thank you both so much for joining and letting us say inappropriate things about football. Steve, is there anything that you'd like to plug, social media or anything, or any last words you have before we call it a night?
You can hit me up on Clifford Comedy on TikTok or on Twitter. Even though Miles says I'm not a comedian anymore, and most of the time he's right. But
I mean, you don't ever go anywhere, but you know, you are good on. I will give you props on TikTok, and if nothing else, you make me hungry.
That's true. Yeah, TikTok is addicting, but I'm just glad Miles is finally liking stuff that like guys like.
Jeez.
Football. I mean.
What are you talking about, men? You don't think that every man has a favorite Ninja Turtle? Huh? No.
Yeah.
Donatello, motherfucker.
No, thanks for having me on here. This has been fun, man. I should have done this a long time ago.
Been inviting you, brother. Glad you finally caved. It's been a blast. Ryan, how about you, sir? Anything you like to promote or shout out before we call it a night?
No, but if I can send this little shout out to my buddy Gavin. I fucking
Absolutely.
hate you. I fucking hate your fantasy team.
Hey, everybody nod at Gavin real quick. Awesome, man. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us. It's great having you on the show, man. You very knowledgeable and always a blast to talk to. So we really appreciate you being here. For Richie and I, as always, we appreciate you guys so much doing all those podcast things that every podcast asks you to do. Make sure you do follow Richie, though, at @thewiz_kid23.
Make sure you follow Miles at Mr. Most Days Off, but most importantly, make sure you follow our show. That's at Best Darn Diddly. That's DIDDLY. And I just want to throw it out there. I want you guys, if you listen to this episode, make sure you tweet at Steve there on all his social platforms. His team name should be Clifford the Big Red Dog.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No doubt. Guys, come back again next week. Richie and I are going to be finishing up season 11. It's weird. It doesn't feel like we are already done with it, but we are on the finale. We are going to be discussing the episode Behind the Laughter.
Woof woof, motherfuckers.
And until next time, don't put Gronk on your bench.